What's up, kids? Peter von Panda here. Hey, bought myself this mini water filtration system from Sawyer. This is an interesting one, and I really like water filtration systems because, you know, especially if you live in kind of a temperate climate, there are a lot of places for water. If things were kind of to SHTF or you were camping and needed water, this is a really easy way to make potable water, drinkable water, without necessarily needing to boil it, which can maybe require getting a fire going and a device to boil it in. This is how it comes, and one of the things that I liked about this is that it's really small for one, but one of the advantages over one of the ubiquitous water purifiers like the Survival drinking straw has a big disadvantage because it's really a personal device. That device really is only for one person, and you use it like a straw. You can't really fill up a container. And this one seemed like, yeah, you could use it as a straw, you could hook it up to a water bottle, you could purify large quantities of water into another receptacle. So this one just seemed more versatile. I thought we would give it a try, put it through its paces, run some dirty water through it, etc., and just see how much more useful this is by being able to do personal drinking, but also being able to take care of people that you may be with in an emergency or camping situation. Okay, so first things first, let's open this up. I had to remove a clip up here. This mini water filtration system opens up like this, and the filtration unit itself is kind of a flashlight size plastic. It's really light, so it could be easily taken on a backpacking trip. Flow, it's kind of a dummy arrow there to show bad water in, good water out. And the 0.1 Micron absolute hollow fiber membrane water filter, so filters in there. Nice thing is the cap on the protected side here to make sure that you're not pushing water in on your out. It doesn't matter on here. And there's a little bit of a, it might be hard to kind of tell, let me use the cap this, but this, there's a gasket right here. It's kind of a hard rubber, with that white ring in there. All right, so let's see what else we got in here. Card, soliciting calls. All right, so here we have, and this is kind of one of the interesting pieces, is a water bottle, water pouch. And essentially you could fill this up in, like, say, stream water, I believe, and then screw this into this side and kind of drink out of this end, or even evacuate the bottle by pressing it out and pushing the water into like a cup or a pot for other people. And that, like I said, that's kind of the thing I like about this, is that unlike the drinking straw, which is a personal device, this one can also take care of other people. And then it has a large syringe here. What actually I think it does is you have a syringe here so you can draw in clean water, and then you would put it on the clean end, like that, presumably, on the clean end, and push water through to kind of back out the bad stuff out of the filter. So after you use it, after your trip, you know, you kind of want to flush it out, maybe, I don't even know, dry it out maybe, and then store it so that, you know, especially heavy sediment or something like that gets into the filter, you can push out, and presumably we'll see if we can do a little of that, maybe get a little grit, dirt in there, and see if we can push it out this back end. So this is for cleaning, not for medical use, not for putting in a half a pint of saline into your blood. And here's the card that kind of shows you simple ways to use. This is interesting. They're using it inline on like a hydration pack, so cool idea there. I think I kind of get what this straw is for, and I think you would just kind of force it on this end like this, and then suck up water on your end if you were drinking, say, straight from a river or a stream or standing water or something like that, so that you could get the straw down into the water and then suck it out of this end. Focus on there. There's a sharp little nozzle there. So I think that's what this is for. So this could be useful to carry around. All right, now let's put this thing to a real world test. All right, so for test number one, let's start with the easy stuff. I went ahead and inserted the straw onto this end. I think this feels kind of like a large straw, but it just feels like a standard large straw size. So I think if you have a package of straws, um, and assuming they're not too brittle, you can slide it onto the end there. You can't get it a whole lot down because I was even pushing as far as I could, and the straw just kind of collapses on itself. So, you know, the nozzle is a bit tapered, so you'll get the straw on, and then you're gonna have to kind of massage it on there just a little bit like that. And again, you want to make sure that the flow is going this way because you are going to be sucking on this tapered end here. So let's give it a shot. I know part of the criticism, I don't have it as one of those life straws, that they're a little hard to drink out of. What I will tell you is that anytime you have a filter like this with a really fine membrane, 0.1 microns, very small, you're sucking through a lot of resistance. So I don't expect it to be super easy, but I have a clear glass filled with regular tap water, and I'm going to give it a shot and tell you what I think. So here we go. Never been used, no water run through this at all. First time. Mm-hmm. All right, so I got a lot of the water down. I'll tell you what, man. It wasn't nearly as hard to drink out of it as I thought. So just right off the bat, I can tell you, you could absolutely use this as a personal device for drinking out of a river, stream, standing water, something like that. You know, and presumably, if it's a broad enough water base, you could put this directly in the water. And maybe I can show you here without looking too goofy. Was able to finish off that water just by drinking straight out of that. So just in and of itself, this little piece of the filter is really invaluable. Drinking out of it is certainly harder than just drinking out of an empty straw, certainly, but I would say it's maybe twice as hard as drinking out of a water bottle with a flip-up nozzle. If you've ever tried to drink a thick milkshake out of a straw, it's actually a little bit easier than that, but it's kind of in that ballpark. I mean, you're definitely sucking, and that may be hard to explain, but you know, it's not uncomfortable. I certainly wasn't going to hurt any myself, and especially if you're using this to drink straight out of water, man, the convenience is amazing. So first test done. It's going to be several times harder than drinking out of straw with no resistance, but for as much filtration as you get here, I'm really impressed that you can actually draw water out of it with just your own mouth's vacuum. So on to the next test. All right, guys, here's the next thing I wanted to show you. So there is that threaded end on this side of in the intake side of the filter, and I grabbed a bottle of water that I have. It's the only bottle of water I have at the house right now, and this is the Kirkland brand. You're probably familiar with this, Costco. One of the things that I would point out about this bottled water is that it has a really shallow cap and is kind of flimsy. You know, that's why I shop at Costco for the deals. But I did notice that it's possible that this is just slightly smaller than a lot of your typical bottled waters because it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit here. It doesn't screw in. I can't get it. You know, the threads are just on the bottle are just plain smaller than the threads there. So if you had a bottled water like this, you wouldn't be able to screw this on and carry it and use it as a straw or whatnot. But other bottled water might work fine. You know, I don't know, your Evian or Fiji or whatever you drink. Now, the thing I might say here is in an emergency situation, because of this rubber gasket, you may be able to just push this on here and hold it in. And then look at that, I actually squirted some water out. So presumably, it's better than nothing because you have that gasket. You could hold the bottle up there and squirt some water. So I'm going to make a mess here. It's kind of like a science show, I guess. I also took the pouch that they include here, and it's 16 ounces. I filled this sucker up. As you can see, it's not huge. 16 ounces isn't a huge amount of water, but having a carrying container for water is super important. So as little as it may be, if you're camping or something like that, you know that carrying water in any quantity is pretty helpful because you can't carry it in your hands. Now this is obviously made for this, so it screws right on there. No problem, and screws on tight. And what I wanted to show you here, may have wet everything, empty glass that we used from before, and I just wanted to see what the flow is like. Now I just took a drink out of this, so we've got the membrane and the filter a little bit wet, and I think once it's wet, you're not kind of drawing everything through pores, so the wetter it is, the easier it's going to be. But I'm not going to put any pressure on this the bladder at all at first. I'm just going to tip it and let gravity do its thing. And you can see here, and I'm just going to hold it by the top, that it's coming out kind of in what I call a fast trickle. It's kind of like pouring liquor out of a splash-proof cap. Now, under the weight of these 16 ounces, it was under the most pressure at the top, and now it's kind of slowing down a little bit. If you had a large reservoir on the top, it's going to take a while for it to go all the way through the filter. Now I'm going to put a little pressure on it and see what we can do. Now you don't want to certainly blow out your filter or anything like that, but I'm just putting a little pressure, and you can see the flow really picks up. So you could kind of purify a lot of water. Now the thing is, you don't want to put so much pressure that you're forcing those foreign objects or pollutants through the filter and kind of jacking up your filter. So you want to do it with a little bit of authority, but you want to let the filter do its thing and try to catch as much stuff. Now, as I said, 16 ounces isn't huge, and this bladder is now basically empty. So this pouch is basically good for a tall glass of water. If you have a water bottle, it'd be awesome to put this on there in the right water bottle. So that's something that you'll want to test before you put a bunch of water bottles in your pack and then take this. But just under gravity, no big problem. It's nice to have, like I said, the life straw. One of the things that I didn't like is that you always had to suck through it. I mean, it didn't have an adapter like this. So this is nice because if you have a lot of water, you don't have to spend a lot of energy and calories purifying water. You can kind of let gravity do the job for you. Now there, it's completely empty. One tall glass of cool, refreshing, purified water. All right, so now on to the test of efficacy. I have a few ounces of crystal clear, clean water here, just from the tap. And I also have my Anthony Robbins Pure Energy Green drink mix. And I'm not one of those guys that's going to grind up cow poop and put it in the water and test it that way. One, because this is all I have, but secondly, because it's really it's wheatgrass and alfalfa and stuff like that, and it's in powdered form, so it dissolves pretty well, but there are also some larger chunks in here. As you can see, it is powdered, and it dissolves pretty good. So I'm going to take a little scoop, not a big scoop, because we don't have a lot of water here, and I'm going to go ahead and dump it in there. And we're going to see how well the filter filters. Take my spoon. It gets pretty cloudy, and I want to try to dissolve as much of it as I can into the water and get that mix as dissolved and as much of the water as humanly possible. Now you can see there are still some chunks of the mix in there, but you can also see that the water turns almost instantly kind of this brown green. So brown green's kind of the right word. It's, I don't know, it looks like swamp water or something. Kind of tastes like it too, but you get used to it. Now I'm going to go ahead and fill up this with the swamp water. And let me see if I can do it without spilling this anywhere. Alright. Just got to own it. Own it. Yeah. Alright. We've got a bunch of sediment in there, so that's good. So now I have, I don't know, probably 10 ounces, 11 ounces of water in the pouch that comes with this, and I'm going to screw it onto the filter. Let's see how it comes out. So the first thing I'm going to do is just see what comes out as we let gravity work with it. And you can see it is definitely trickling out. I'm holding it by the bag, and now I'm going to just start applying a little bit of pressure and kind of force it through those membranes in the filter. And I don't want to put too much pressure on it because you can kind of just manhandle everything into or kind of push out the membranes or the filters or whatever, what have you. So you got to let them do their job. But we do have cloudy green wheatgrass alfalfa water in the bag, and it's coming out generally pretty clear. Now, the turbidity in the water, I can tell you, is definitely gone, but there is kind of a golden tinge to the water that's coming out. So, you know, clearly this is not evaporation and distillation. I'm gonna put a little more pressure on it because we're not an hour-long show. And you can see pretty good pressure and pretty good flow. And I'm not squeezing the heck out of it, but I'm definitely squeezing it. So let's go ahead and stop there. I've got about half of the water pushed out of the bag, and you can see there it has a little bit of a golden color. It's kind of, it may look a little darker in the light because I think of the brown background, but it in the glass it actually looks like champagne. Those bubbles probably aren't helping its cause for the champagne case, but it's definitely a little golden. It doesn't have the odor that I know the green drink does after you mix it, so I'm pretty impressed with that. And I'll taste it. You know, it's just got that faintest hint of like kind of a barley aftertaste. So clearly you're not reversing the physics of putting a mix into water, but I'm shocked. And well, like I said, here, let's take that empty glass that I used. I'm going to take off the filter here and pour the remainder back in this glass. And you can see, does it filter stuff out? You bet it does. Does water come out perfectly pure like it does out of the tap? Nope. But this water, if I found out in the wilderness, would be basically undrinkable, in my opinion. This water, if I found it in the wilderness, would be drinkable. So, very last thing I want to show you, how do we clean out the filter? So, now that you've gunked up your filter with a lot of that turbidity out of the water or sediment or whatever you might have, how do you clean it? Well, the bad water goes in this side, flows this way, and clean water comes out here. So all of that bad stuff is plugging up this side of the filter. So you're going to force water back opposite the flow arrow and out this way. And if we're lucky, the clean water that we use to flush this out will show in the sediment and things collecting here. So the first thing I'm going to do is take the syringe that they include here, press it down, and suck up kind of as much of this clean water as I can. So I've got a syringe, probably 50 or 60 milliliters here, filled with clean water. I'm going to put it on this end with against the flow, and look at that. It comes out pretty easily. Squirt it a little bit, but right there we are backing out a lot of the, in this case, wheatgrass, but whatever nastiness you might come across in the wilderness. When you get home, you can kind of flush this thing out until it's effectively clear water coming out of there. And then you've got just most of your sediment out of there, and you're kind of back in business. Take it back on your next outing. So really impressed with this Sawyer Mini portable water filter. I think it's great not only for your own personal use, but it can also provide a good amount of drinking water, safe for you and companions if the need should arise. Peter von Panda, out!